Okay, let's just dive right into this grammar survival guide together. As your dedicated study buddy today, I am absolutely thrilled to help you master English pronouns. I mean, think about it. These little words are the absolute essential building blocks that keep our sentences from sounding repetitive, clunky, and, well, totally robotic. Whether you're typing up a formal email or just, texting your friends, knowing exactly which pronoun to pull from your toolbox is a fundamental skill.
But before we get to the actual rules, I've got to ask you a question that literally trips up almost everyone. And I mean even native speakers. Does this sentence sound right to you? Please contact John and myself. Hold on to your answer for a minute, because by the end of this explainer, you are going to know exactly why this is one of the biggest traps in the English language and exactly how you can avoid it entirely.
So, here is our game plan for today's explainer. We'll go over stars and receivers, showing ownership two ways, mastering reflexive pronouns, fixing common pronoun mistakes, and then finish up with some daily conversation practice. All right, jumping into section 1, stars and receivers.
Before we look at the specific types of pronouns, the crucial thing to grasp is just what their job actually is. A pronoun simply steps in to replace a noun. Think about how incredibly awkward it would be to say, Lisa likes cats, Lisa has 4 cats, right? Nobody talks like that. Instead, a pronoun swoops in to save the day, turning it into, Lisa likes cats, she has 4 cats. The word she just steps right in for Lisa, making the whole thing flow so much better.
Now, looking at this chart, you can really clearly see the separation between our two main camps. First, we've got our subject pronouns. Think of these as the stars of your sentence. They do the action, and they always step up before the verb, like I love music, or they are from Italy. Then, over on the other side, we have our object pronouns. They aren't the doers, they're the receivers, catching the action, and they usually show up after the verb or a preposition. The action of the star literally lands right on them. He knows me, or this is for you. A super common mistake here is using a star when you actually need a receiver. I mean, we definitely don't say, Dad is helping I. We naturally say, Dad is helping me.
Moving right along to section 2, showing ownership two ways.
So listen closely to how we answer the exact same question, who owns this, in 2 completely different grammatical ways. Actually, say these out loud with me real quick. This is my book. This book is mine. Did you feel how the whole rhythm and word order shifted there? That right there is the fundamental difference between possessive adjectives and possessive pronouns.
So here's a great rule of thumb to lock into your memory as your ultimate study guide. Possessive adjectives, they act kind of like name tags. They sit directly in front of the noun to describe it, like my book or her dress. They absolutely cannot stand by themselves. Possessive pronouns, on the other hand, are the strong, independent types. They completely replace the noun. You use them when the object you're talking about is already super obvious. Instead of repeating my book, you just confidently say mine. And remember, whether you use an adjective or a pronoun, the word you choose always has to agree with the owner. If the owner is female, it's her dog or hers. If it's a guy, it's his dog.
All right, section 3, mastering reflexive pronouns. This is where it gets fun.
Reflexive pronouns are words like myself, yourself, himself, and themselves. Honestly, just think of them like a mirror. We only use these special words when the subject doing the action and the object receiving the action are the exact same person or group. They literally reflect the action right back to the doer.
Let's compare how versatile these mirror words actually are. First, the reflexive action. Here, the pronoun is grammatically required. I cut myself while cooking. You obviously wouldn't say I cut me because the subject I is doing the action to I. It must be myself. Now compare that to the emphatic use on the other side. I myself saw the accident. Here the word isn't even grammatically necessary. The sentence makes total sense if you just say I saw the accident. But we add myself for extra punch, just to show that I did it personally with my own 2 eyes.
Now, it's also absolutely vital to clarify a completely different use here. Adding the tiny word by right before a reflexive pronoun changes the game entirely. I live by myself functions as an adverb, meaning alone or without any help. And that is totally different from just being the receiver of an action, like in the phrase, he gave it to me. Notice it is not, he gave it to myself. Why? Well, because he is the doer and me is just the receiver. They are 2 entirely different people.
Okay, section 4, fixing common pronoun mistakes. We are entering the danger zone now.
So, answering our big question from the very beginning of the explainer, the trap is finally revealed. Please contact John and myself is completely 100% incorrect. Why? Because the correct phrasing is actually, please contact John and me. Think back to our mirror rule. You're just receiving the action of being contacted here. You aren't the one doing the contacting. The subject doing the contacting is the person you're speaking to. Because the doer and the receiver are different people, you've got to use the regular object receiver pronoun, me.
And you know what? The exact same rule applies after prepositions like between, to, for, or with. Take this phrase, she sat between John and myself. Again, since the subject she is the one doing the sitting, and the object receiving the action is you, well, the doer and receiver are different. We can never, ever use a reflexive pronoun here. The correct, beautifully grammatical sense is simply, she sat between John and me.
To avoid these sneaky traps on your next test, or, before you hit send on that really important email to your boss, just use this simple 3-step mental checklist. First, find your verb or preposition. Second, ask yourself who is doing the action and who is receiving it. And third, ask the golden question. Are the subject and the object the exact same person? If yes, grab your mirror and use a reflexive pronoun. If no, stick to your standard object pronouns like me, him, or us.
Finally, Section 5, Daily Conversation Practice. Let's put all of this into action.
Take a mental snapshot of this master summary cheat sheet right here. I love this because it beautifully illustrates exactly how our starting subjects, our stars, transform based on their specific job in the sentence. Notice how I turns into me to receive, my to stand next to a noun, mine to completely replace the noun, and myself to reflect an action. Keep this chart handy in the back of your mind.
Read this little conversation prompt out loud with me right now and just notice how perfectly the possessive pronouns are doing their jobs. Is this your bag? No, it's not mine. Maybe it's hers. I brought my books. Did you bring yours? See how much smoother that flows? Because we use mine, hers, and yours, we completely avoid having to sound like a broken record repeating the words bag and books over and over again.
In this one, brilliantly illustrates our advanced reflexive rules, showing both uses in incredibly natural spoken English. I myself built this house. Boom! That's your emphatic stress. You did it with no construction company. Now I live by myself because I enjoy the quiet. That's your alone use. Actually, it's pretty cool how we can use two completely different applications of the exact same word, myself, in one perfect thought.
So, knowing everything we just practiced today about stars, receivers, mirrors, and ownership, I really want to leave you with this. Next time you're drafting a professional email to your boss or your teacher, are you going to ask them to contact myself or me? I really hope this explainer proves that you now have the exact tools to answer that correctly with total confidence. Keep practicing these everyday tricks, and I promise your sentences will be smoother than ever. Happy studying!